country, efforts to ban specific books or even whole categories of books are on the rise.
Parents, school boards, and thirsty political groups have pulled off over 1,500 book bans in schools across the U.S.
A recent study found hundreds of books, mostly focused on LGBTQ themes or racial issues, have now been forbidden across the country.
Book banning is a growing trend in the United States where certain books are being removed or restricted from public libraries and schools due to their content, themes, or language. For the longest time, children have grown up reading stories that have informed and educated them about the complexities of our world. Now, in an attempt to protect children, parents and school boards alike are taking the initiative to strip children of the one thing in the education system that drives them to think critically, understand social concepts, and improve their cognitive developments. Before the United States was even formed, books were being banned by those who didn't want the public to develop class consciousness. In the 1500s, the Index Librorum Prohibitorum was developed by the Catholic Church to hide any and all books that went against Catholic doctrine to keep the public in the dark about scientific developments. During the Cold War era, fears of communism led to the removal of books that were seen as un-American or potentially dangerous. Libraries and schools often faced pressure to remove texts that didn't align with national ideology. And now, in the modern day, book bans are rising again at historically high levels. The first conflict centers on freedom of expression versus protecting children. Supporters of bans argue that certain books are simply inappropriate for young readers. They believe banning is a way to shield children from harmful ideas.
Also include incestuous relationships, child-adult sex, and books that promote pedophilia.
Opponents, however, claim these bans violate the First Amendment and restrict intellectual freedom.
Ultimately, the impact is on the students, right? Today is World Book Day, right? Which means that books are something that connects us to every other continent, every other country. And so when we start to say we're going to remove books, what we're really getting at is we are talking about removing the history of certain people. We are talking about the erasure of the existence of certain people. But the biggest thing we're talking about is kids and young adults who cannot travel outside of their cities, outside of their states, or outside of the country. They don't get access to other people's lived experiences. And so if I'm in school and maybe I don't have any other queer students in my school with me not being able to read about other queer people and what their experiences are, it doesn't stop the fact that they exist. And when I go to college, that I'll have to exist with these people. And when I go to work, that some of my coworkers may be queer. And so what we are is shutting them off from an essential part of what is going to be their life, whether they have access to these books or not.
We have to ask ourselves, is banning one book really going to make that big of a difference, especially if the issue still exists outside of the pages? The next argument centers on representation. Many of the books being banned feature oppressed voices, like authors of color, LGBTQ+ characters, or stories about systemic injustice.
According to PEN America, local political and advocacy groups are targeting books with LGBTQ+ characters and storylines, along with topics of sexuality and racism.
Removing these books doesn't just limit access. It risks erasing representation and silencing perspectives that challenge dominant cultural views. When we take these stories off the shelves, whose voices are we choosing not to hear? Finally, there's the question of control. Most bans begin at the local level, school boards, parent groups, and community debates. But the ripple effect sparks national conversations.
Also a level at which this is politically manufactured. There is an effort to gin up support for certain parties, certain ideologies. There's a lot of frustration among parents after the last couple of years with schools being disrupted during the pandemic, debates over masking. And this is kind of a vein that they've tapped. You know, we think about a pocketbook issue that affects somebody at home. This is a backpack issue.
But it is also still the case in this country, for the most part, that the education system is local, the public libraries are local. Who decides?
Who should decide what belongs in classrooms and libraries? Should these decisions stay local, or should higher authorities step in to set national standards?
Our kids and our teachers deserve better. They deserve the tools to help these kids succeed, not a damn distraction on a nasty, pornographic book that should never, ever be in a classroom.
This tension between local autonomy and national oversight keeps the controversy alive. Book banning is not just about removing pages from shelves. It's about shaping what students are allowed to think, question, and understand.
I feel like we've kind of stepped back in time talking about book banning.
Library Board President Larry Walton opposes moving or removing the books, calling it censorship.
It's heartbreaking to be associated with this situation.
When we restrict books, we restrict access to ideas, identities, and histories that help young people make sense of the world around them.
Here's what an 8-year-old named Ridley had to say.
Everyone deserves to have these beautiful books to read, to learn, etc. Like, they teach them about culture, what they can be, what if they want to be what they want to be, they should be able to be what they want to be. But they can't be without knowing what it means.
And the world should be presented as it is, real, imperfect, and sometimes controversial.
Good and frustrating. It's a challenge, but we're going to come ahead. We're going to win.
A moment of intense contestation over issues of diversity, inclusion.
Building that image does not change the reality. When we ban books, we don't just silence authors. We silence conversations.
With thousands of books being banned in schools each year, students have fewer and fewer opportunities to find books that suit their interests to explore this huge world of literature.
And the question remains, are we protecting children, or are we protecting ourselves from the uncomfortable truth? So the real debate is not only about books, it's about power. Who gets to decide what knowledge is valuable? Whose stories deserve to be told? And what happens to a generation of students when we decide to silence those stories?